Hello, hello, hello again. So I'm on the next video now on my request list, which is another lovely purpose video. So you have quite a few numbers in your chart. I read on an average reading up to 9 elements, but the 4 core numbers in your chart are your life path and birthday number and the expression and soul urge number. And these numbers encompass the core, the main influences on you. The life path and birthday number is all about what you're here to do. It's your life purpose. Because of this, there's challenges involved. It will mean that you need to improve certain energies and balance certain energies in your life. Then you have the other 2 numbers, the expression and soul urge, which are in your toolbox. And those are the energies that you bring with you to help you walk the path of your purpose, which is your life path and birthday number. And of course, when they're different numbers, this can cause certain elements of your life path to be easier than others. So this video just tells you what you're here to do. Then the next thing for you to do is to look how your life path compares and with the expression and the soul urge number on 2 separate videos. Then you start to get an idea of how all your core numbers work together. Then you can start looking at your maturity number, your personality number, your karmic intensifiers, your karmic numbers, your temperament. It goes on and on with numerology. It's one of the many reasons why I love it so much. So this is the next request video for somebody who is a life path 5. Now remember, I'm talking about just the life path 5 on its own, the 5 energy, and the birthday number 7. I will talk briefly about all the different types, but that's so much detail that really needs a reading or a very, very long video. So the elements that I'm about to break down are the life path 5 on its own, so the energy of the 5, all the elements that you've got to achieve, and then breaking down and looking at the tasks and challenges of the birthday number. The life path needs 90% of your focus. It is your main life path number. The birthday number 7, even though it has many elements, it should only take about 10% of your focus on your purpose. But what it should do most primarily is give you a direction. It's like the birthday number is like a major sub lesson that says be a life path 5, but bring elements of the 7 to it. And that's your life purpose. So what we'll do first, if I can figure out how, I've got a new system. All of the computers have been moved. Therefore, it's made it a little bit difficult for me to get used to it. Here we go. So this is the life path number 5. So 5s are here to look at the world with the eyes of a child, really, and then get from the point of looking at everything towards a point of focus, discipline, and mastery on one topic, so that you're the genius in that subject, the person in the know. And it's that kind of discipline that you need to bring to your life that will ultimately bring you real freedom, because a life path 5 is about learning what freedom really means, because we can all think we know what freedom is. It's doing what we want. But then when you think of it on a deeper level, is doing what we want always going to bring us freedom? Anyway, so let's look at the elements of the life path 5. So you're here to look at to indulge in varied experience, like looking at the world with the eyes of a child, and learn from each one. Really experience everything you experience. Be present in that moment so that you can begin to decide, what don't I like? What do I like? What is my real passion and focus in life? And it takes you needing to look at the world with the eyes of a child first, and to come from a scattered state towards finding that real passion, that real focus in your life. And of course, because that's your purpose, you're going to find that quite difficult, because the 5, because they look at the world with the eyes of a child first, They can become easily bored, brushing over experiences without really being present, and achieving no real learning about themselves or any progression towards what their real focus is. So that's difficulty. So every experience that a life path 5 goes to, they really need to experience it and feel, is this a bit of me, or is this something that I'm a bit meh about? Okay, so that's element 1. You're here to find, when you find that passion, you're here to find variety, change and adventure, and then balance that with your focus, your passion, your mastery, your discipline, and of course, the family that you have around you. So it's not about losing your sense of adventure and your love of doing many things. It's about finding that passion, that focus, and then having some balance in your life so that you're not obsessed and totally focused on your mastery and never doing anything else with your life. You know, you need to balance that so that you can get away sometimes, so that you don't become over-focused. You know what I mean? So that you can have a rest, travel a bit, indulge in your love of varied experience. So no one's saying that you have to lose that element of you. Quite the contrary. It's coming from there to the focus, but then balancing them. So sometimes you can go back to the there again, you know. So because that is what you're here to do, you're going to struggle sometimes to find a healthy balance between your need for variety and adventure and doing loads of different things with your need for that mastery, that discipline, that focus on that mastery and time for your family. You know, finding that balance between the two, it's not going to be an easy thing for a life path 5. So you're here to find your passion, your focus, and focus on it with discipline to gain progression and then real personal freedom. To know, now this is the key bit, that freedom is not necessarily attained by doing what you want. You do what you want when you're already free. You've got to do it with discipline, which sounds like, what? They sound like they're at odds with each other. But it is, you've got to be disciplined to find real personal freedom in life. You need discipline and focus on a mastery that will, over certain times, short time, long time, will bring you real personal freedom. Excusez-moi, I hope that didn't go right through down the microphone. It has before, apologies. So because you're here to find your freedom and use that freedom responsibly, like with discipline and being healthy and responsible with your use of freedom, you're likely as a 5 to have certain elements of abuse of your freedom that could actually lead to ill health, or even at the worst case scenario, incarceration in this day and age, which ultimately serves to remove your freedom. It's like we can all say, oh, I'll do what I want, but will that, you've got to think, will doing what I want now bring me freedom? Will doing what I want and robbing that bank, is that going to bring me freedom? Unlikely. It's going to get you incarcerated. I'm going to eat whatever I want. Yeah, you can do that, but will that bring you freedom? How free are you when you're physically ill? How free are you when you feel exhausted and tired because you haven't eaten enough good food? You know, there's a big learning curve for a 5 when it comes to the real nature of personal freedom. So you're here to learn then, as part of that, with your discipline, to be committed, to be dependable, because you've got to do that first, haven't you? You've got to commit to a certain thing, topic, subject, whatever it is your mastery is, and then be dependable on that, for that and the people that surround it. And of course, because you're here to be committed and dependable, you're, as a 5, especially if you're still looking at the world with the eyes of a child, quite chaotic, quite uncommitted, quite forgetful. I mean, you don't mean to make promises and then not fulfill them. It's just that you make a promise and then you completely forget about it and you're on to the next. So you can be quite chaotic, forgetful, or on the other side of the extreme, because remember, we're finding balance here. You can be one or the other. You can be overcommitted and over-obsessed, and that's when you really haven't found a balance between variety. See, they all link. When you haven't found a balance between variety and your passion and your family, you can end up being overcommitted and over obsessed. You're here to be fearless. Fives need to communicate fearlessly and not to let others stop them in their tracks, to surge forward bravely. And because you're here to be fearful, no, because you're here to be fearless, you have a tendency at times to be quite fearful. Fantasize about acting fearlessly. You might think about it. You might watch movies about people acting fiercely and live out your fearless fantasies, but actually not doing it yourself, just experiencing it through other people because you're fearful about doing it yourself. And you've got to be more fearless. Fives are here to be fearless like a Leo lion and not let others stop them from surging ahead bravely. So work on it if you're feeling fearful. You're here to focus your energy and your drive onto a specialism, a mastery to attain real freedom. That's what I've been going on about this whole time. But of course, the ultimate issue is you're going to struggle to exercise that focus, focus your energy, be scattered in where you throw your energy without any real intention of discipline in any one subject. And immense amounts of energy can be wasted by a five or sometimes used quite irresponsibly. The social side of a five is you're here to be a very good communicator, influential, excellent verbal written skill, and many fives are here to be writers, and fives are one of those people. So if you're here to learn excellent, influential verbal and written communication skills. And because of that, at first, especially in your early life when you're still developing, you might struggle at first with a bit of stunted communication. And instead of being involved in good communication, which actually brings good things, you can end up in sort of irrelevant and destructive dramas, because fives, they do like a drama. And, it's part of using their freedom in a really sort of non-way that's going to help them move forward. You know what I mean? Not using their freedom in the best way for them, not using their ability to communicate to bring good things to their life, ending up bringing sort of destructive dramas and, that they stand back and watch. It's part for their need for adventure when they really should be channeling that on other things like real adventure. So you're here to be charismatic and have positive social skills, because the five is very much a performer, but they keep a performance distance. The five isn't about pulling people close. The five is all about performing to the people around you and communicating to customers, people at a distance, and being positive in your communication and draw people in, network, perform, and, widen your social circle. Widen it more than deepen it, this for the life path five. And because you're here to be social and positive and draw people in, you can, of course, struggle with this and be quite uptight and more argumentative and communicate in a more destructive and stunted way, negatively, and you have to progress towards being more positive with your communication. You're here also to learn to be consistently independent and to focus on smart risk taking, because the five can be, especially when they're still looking at the world with the eyes of a child, quite risk takers. They just don't think of the forward consequences of what might happen if I do this. They just go with the excitement and take any old risk, when really they should be using their intuition, because five is here to develop their intuition, and instead of making silly choices, making intuitive and calculated choices and risks. Because of course, because you've got to do that, you're going to be prone to swinging from independence to dependence and back due to that lack of commitment and risky decision making without using that intuitive voice. Really, really important. Finally, you're here not only to be fearless yourself, but to challenge others to be fearless and expand their comfort zones too. So you've got to start with yourself before you can help others to do it. That's the only way and the golden rule. But if you're stuck in fear, you're not going to be helping others to be fearless. You're going to be just still indulging in that pointless drama and televisual or other forms of escapism where you are the observer rather than the actual person involved, which, no, not really. Birthday number 7. Now, this is 10% of your focus. Okay, so most of your focus is what I've just said. And of course, don't forget the sub-lessons of what I've just said. So when you're a birthday number 7, 10% of your focus should be on developing total connection with your intuitive wisdom, because you tend to overthink a bit. You're sort of looking, you're here to look at the world and filter that through your intuitive voice. But sometimes you can let the mind take over too much and let the ego take over too much and not allow your intuitive wisdom to come to the fore, and you're certainly not following it. So the 7's biggest thing is to learn to listen to and follow their intuitive wisdom without overthinking it, to find balance between the two, but ultimately having that decision made by the intuitive voice within, because that's the soul within you that's gone through all those previous lives. Your soul, your gut, it knows. And when you're doing something that it's experienced before or you've experienced before, your soul's going to give you a kick and your intuition is going to go, be careful, or yeah, do it. Okay, and it's that you've got to follow. Don't overthink. Don't let the ego, or what I call the chimp, get in the way. I dress my chimp in stupid outfits because he or she tends to come in when I get an intuitive voice and I think, oh yeah, that's good. And then the chimp jumps in, or the ego, straight away going, you can't do it. You'll never be able to. I dress him in stupid clothes and tell him to off all the time. So it's about learning to manage that ego, that chimp within you that is part of your purpose, to be able to push aside and go for what you intuitively know is right. That's the biggest thing to add to your life path 5. You're here to trust that the universe exists in perfect balance for your experience and your learning. The world is not great. We all know that. And it's not against you personally. It's not against us all personally. It is a mix of light and dark. There's people with good intention and people with really rubbish intention. And you just got to hope that in the people in power, that there's more people with good intention than bad. But I don't know about that. You've got to use your intuition and your nose for truth in the 7, because you can mistrust everything without using your intuitive voice to decide what you can and can't trust. And you can even mistrust yourself, mistrust others, and mistrust the world of itself, and actually feel that the world is against you, when really it's just a mix of light and dark. And if you really look, you will see quite a balance of the two. And we've got to experience it, because that's what's going to help our souls evolve. You know, if you want to learn about love, you can't just learn about love on one level. You've got to see what hate looks like, right? And some people have got to experience that to help them learn what real love and compassion is, and how important love and compassion is. Because when you've experienced the other side of the coin, that's part of your learning to decide, no, love and compassion is definitely better than anger and abuse. Okay, so we've got to experience it, learn, and be the people that we want to be in this world. The 7 is about self-discovery and spiritual development, learning who you are by looking at the world. You know, you need to analyze other people's theories, So the 7 is about researching and thinking and studying the theories of the world, but then to prioritize their inner development and their self-discovery. So look at what you see in the world, look at all the theories, and filter that through your intuitive wisdom. Now 7s, may have the tendency to isolate themselves, because they prefer to work alone, first of all, and they like inner development and self-discovery, and they like to do that alone. When they're here to actually find balance, they need to be looking at the world as much as they're looking at their inner world, because they need to be using their intuition to... You've got to experience the world. That's what you're here to do. And 7s can end up sort of wanting to live in a tree on their own, when that's not really going to help them. They've got to experience the world. That's what they're here for. And then use their intuition to make the right decisions in life. That's the whole point. So it's important that your 7 side doesn't disconnect yourself from the outside world, especially you as a life path 5. You're here to get out there and communicate. So isolating yourself is not going to help you at all. So that's vital that you can get past that. You need to look at others' theories, research the world, and filter that. Balance your logic and your intuition by filtering what you see in the world through all your research, through your intuitive wisdom for its truth. But of course, sometimes as a 7, you can subordinate that intuition for overthinking and allowing that toddler brain in, or that ego, or the chimp, as I call it. You're here to focus on one theory or topic or idea long enough to develop it further. Now, remember, you're a life path 5. So you already have those difficulties with focus, and it's accentuated here by your birthday number 7 that says, yeah, you love looking at loads of different subjects, but you've got to find that focus, and esoteric subjects and spiritual and self-discovery subjects are going to be something that you'll be interested in. But you've got to find that focus for your life path 5, and you've got to find that focus for your birthday number 7. So there's double focus here on finding your focus and your mastery, coming from looking at the world with the eyes of a child, looking at loads of different subjects, and then learning from each one in such a way that you begin to filter out what isn't really you and come to something that is you. Okay, that's really, really important. The social side, you're here to be a bit of a rebel and a free thinker, and as you know, the life path 5 can be a bit like that too. So you need to manage your need to be free, which is great. Your need not to be a sheep, which is great, because you're here to look at the other side as well as communicating that to others. So 7s have got to be free thinkers, totally uninterested many times in popular culture or following the crowd, or if everyone's wearing blue jackets, the 7 will wear a red jacket. They don't like following popular culture or crowds. They're very much more likely to go their own path. And 5s can have an element of that within them too. The sort of spiritual tramp, I'm going to do what I want and go and travel kind of person. This is the kind of things that this person might go through. And because they're here to be a free thinker, they can be a lot of the time, totally disconnected with the masses on every way and isolate themselves, which I've already said is not a great thing. So disconnected even from the theories of the world that they just want to be on their own. They want to do everything alone. They want to work alone, and they want to go and live in a tree. But you're here to be interdependent. You're here to be independent thinker, but you've got to be interdependent too. You need a 50-50 balance of social and alone time. And remember, you're a life path 5, so you're communicating a lot, you're socializing a lot, you're, as well as your focus and your passion. There's a lot to achieve in numerology, isn't there? So you've got to balance your time alone and your social time, and, get past your tendency in the 7 to isolate yourself. So remember, I've just gone through the 5 and the 7, but you're going to be not necessarily just a 5 unless you're born on the 3rd of January 9th. These dates are non-exhaustive, by the way. There's many dates. I've just chosen a couple of dates to illustrate each life path. So if you were born on the 3rd of January 1999, you're a straight 5. Or the 1st of February 2000, you're a straight 5. No sub-lessons. But if you've got a master number in your life path, or a higher number, then you might go into the double figures, like 2nd of November. November is a master month, so we keep that 11. 1981, which is a 1 year, so 1 plus 11 plus 2. Have I got that right? Yes, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes, I have. And then 7th of January 2004. And then the numbers start going up and start getting rarer as they go up, because you start needing to be born on 22 years, which, is not that often, and especially not now. We're not going to have another 22 year for hundreds of years now. The last one was on the 22nd of June 1993. So you see, to be a 505, you need to be born on the 22nd, or a master day, and you need to be born on a master year to be a 505. So 22nd of a 22 year, basically. So they're rarer life paths. So remember, you've got to take these elements into account. For example, when you're a 145, you're going to struggle much more with your focus than some of the other fives, because the 4 struggles with focus too. So more focus will be needed on focus. You know, you're going to find coming away from looking at the world with the eyes of a child down to focus and mastery even more difficult when you're a 145, because it's a karmic debt where in a previous lifetime you misused your freedom and you didn't focus your energy on things that would bring you real personal freedom. So that created a karmic debt. That's why you came as a 145. So there's extra focus for a 145 on commitment and focus and mastery. Even if you only focus on those 3 for a great deal of your life, that is your focus as a 145. When you're a 2, 3, 5, it's more about people and communication. So the communication area is accentuated maybe more than some of the others. You're still going to have all those other 5 difficulties, but it's saying focus on the communication and the expression and the performance to others, and then focus on drawing a few people a bit closer. So 145 is more about the discipline and the mastery. The 235 is more about the communication side of the 5, alongside the 325. So the 235 focuses on the 3 primarily, and the 325 focuses on the 2 primarily. So the 325 needs to pull people closer, really. They need the performance distance of the 5, but they need to also draw people close. So again, that's more focus on the social side. And then the 415, similar to the 145, but of course it's not a karmic debt. But instead of then focusing on the 4 primarily, or your lack of focus, it's on the 1. So very, very innovative, possibly the most rebellious of all the life paths, because 1s, they like to put cats among the pigeons because they're change agents and they don't like the status quo, and they're more likely to put a cat amongst the pigeons. So the 415 is more the bringer of change through their communication. They really push forward. They're not about to, you know, stand in the background. They'll stand on the stage and then push to the front on the stage, you know, but that's what they're here to be. And the 505, well, the 0, that really increases the intensity of that 5. So it's a 5 on steroids, but it's really focusing on the intuitive side of the 5. The 5 that needs to look inside themselves before they make decisions and do things, and you know, taking those intuitive decisions and risks in life. And it's the lessons of the 5 on steroids. So the 505, being the rarer of the life paths, is more likely to swing from extremes of focus to extremes of unfocus, extremes of independence to extremes of dependence. You know, the 505 is a very intense 5. So think of it as the difficulties of the 5 on steroids. Okay, so the birthday, remember, this is only your 10% focus on here. So, you know, you're looking at the 1-6. So that's about community and nurture and looking after your community around you, including your family, and practically expressing and manifesting your ideals, or being the change that you want to see, rather than being upset about the change that hasn't occurred, if you know what I mean. So birthday number 167 is a karmic debt number, and it means that you need to focus what you do on your community more, rather than leaving people hanging, because the 167 is a karmic debt, and it comes from destroying everything that you've previously built. A 167 can build a family and a business and a job and a home all around themselves, and then one day go, no, not happy with this, and completely smash it all up, and everyone around them's going, what happened? Oh my God, she gone, and you've just gone. You know, everything you previously built gone, and everyone around you bereft and left. So if you've got it as your a 167 birthday, you're here to be more nurturing, to be that spiritual 7, but to be more nurturing to your family and community around them and around you, to make them feel safe and secure and not just leave them in the lurch one day and smash everything you've previously built. The 2-5. Remember, 5 is about focus and discipline and then communicating that to others. And the 2 is about pulling people closer, being more dependable and responsible to others, to look after other people's well-being more, to be more of service, but with boundaries. So it's about looking at those main elements and then looking at the sub-lessons as well. It's a lot to look at, but, you know, it's a really good subject for you to really learn more about yourself, and it really brings you guidance as what you're here to do in this lifetime. There's a lot of detail. You can't be saying that, you know, you're not told in a lot of detail what you're here to do. So if you want to look at or have it in written form for yourself, your life path and birthday number all split into the sections, and then with the ability to look at other people's life path and birthday number, you need my book, Remember Your Life Purpose, the first one, the blue cover on this screen. And then if in the future, if you want to start thinking, or straight after, thinking about how your life path compares with your expression number, you've got Remember Your Talents here, and they're both on Amazon. You know, all you've got to do is type Katie Ewers, Youers, into Amazon, and because no one else has got that name, my books come straight up. So that's really cool. That's a good thing about having an unusual name. So I hope you found this video useful for your life purpose. Give me a nice like if you like my video. Give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel and make sure you're clicking that bit that says, that updates you about my uploads. My uploads are a bit erratic lately because I'm doing so many other things, but you know, my focus is there. If you request a video, it will be posted. It may take me a while, but I'm committed to make sure all the videos that are requested by you lovely people are posted. If you want to email me for a reading, or you want to email me about learning about numerology, or to ask me any questions, or even just have a little chat, you can email me at katie@soulexplorer.net. Follow me on Facebook, Soul Explorer Numerology, Instagram, Soul Explorer Kate. And I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So I'm on LinkedIn as Katie Ewers, of course, Youers, and Twitter as Soul Explorer 4. So, but whatever I tell you in these videos, you know, you've really got to trust the soul within you, especially you as a life path 5 with a birthday number 7. Your intuition should guide your life. See you soon.